Honestly, I wanted to be a Agent 007, the Bond, but unfortunately, I couldn't get that 10 number. So I settled for becoming a UAE tax agent instead. On a serious note, when VAT came, businesses asked, how do we comply? But when corporate tax came, businesses start asking, how do we structure correctly? That's when I realized tax conversation were moving from finance department into boardrooms. Moving from low tax environment to a high compliance environment. It is no longer only a 9% tax story. Across the GCC, businesses are dealing with corporate tax, transfer pricing, substance requirement, and increasing regulatory expectations. The UAE's advantage is not just corporate tax rate. It's also 0% withholding tax, participation exemption, no personal income tax, and efficient repatriation mechanics. Recently, while presenting UAE Tax Advantage at LIA Global International Tax Conference, I realized something very interesting. Globally, the UAE is no longer being discussed only as a low-tax jurisdiction. Rather, the conversation is now about strategic tax architecture. That's why businesses need professionals who can convert complex regulations into practical business decisions. Extremely relevant because it bridged the gap between law and business reality. The trainers brought strong practical experience into the discussion, which made the session highly engaging and relevant to today's market. What made it particularly valuable was the exchange of perspective with other experienced professionals in the room. And in a fast evolving environment like the UAE, that kind of practical learning becomes extremely valuable. Absolutely. Every single day when I walk into the office, clients are already waiting with urgent questions. They are asking, what's our actual tax risk? How should this cross-border transaction be structured? The course gave me the practical answers and technical confidence needed for those daily client discussions. But it went beyond that. When I step out of my office to speak at industry conferences with both here in UAE and abroad, it gave me the backing to stand on stage and talk about where the UAE landscape is heading next. PwC Academy brought a very practical dimension to technical training, and the credit goes to the trainers of the sessions. The sessions combine UAE tax laws with real business scenarios and practical implementation challenge. The trainers shared industry experience that made the discussions highly relevant to today's market. It helped develop, for me personally, a more analytical, I would call it Sherlock Holmes approach to tax, looking beyond numbers to understand risk and bigger business picture. The role of traditional consultant has completely changed. Today, businesses just don't expect return filing. They expect strategic thinking, risk management, and commercially practical solutions. Therefore, I would say the future of tax advisor would be part strategist, part risk manager, and part business advisor. That's why I always say in my presentation, you need to train your tax dragon before the regulators arrive. Because in today's environment, tax is no longer reactive. It has become part of business strategy itself.